What is up, YouTube? The Dragon here. It is, well, it's not Friday anymore. It is Saturday, December 5th. Well, my time. And I was trying to make this figured out Friday on time, but I've just been real busy, so I'm sorry it's late. And I was trying to make it while I was getting my truck worked on, but every time I was like 5 minutes in, a mechanic or somebody would walk up and I had to stop. So, sorry this one's late, but I got my truck all fixed and, got the batteries replaced so I don't have the starting issue anymore. And getting the batteries fixed my inverter and fixed a lot of stuff. Although I do need a new kingpin on my right side wheel. It's going bad, so I need to get it replaced before the wheel falls off. But anyway, I'm going to try to make this video less than 10 minutes, so I'm going to try to go through this as quick as possible. This Figure It Out Friday is going to be about hours of service, and I guess sort of time management in there somewhere amongst my explanation. So, hours of service. As we all know, or you should know, we have 3 different clocks to work off of. You have your 14-hour clock, your 11-hour clock, and your 70-hour clock. And I guess I'll break down each of those. So, your 11-hour clock is pretty much your drive time. Well, it is your drive time. If your wheels are moving, you're ticking away your 11-hour clock. Simple as that. Your 14-hour clock is, it's like your standard workday clock. But as soon as you punch in and start it, you cannot stop it. The only time it stops is when it runs out and you take a 10-hour break. Now you can start your 14 and then take a 10-hour break, but your 14 is still going to tick. Now when your 10-hour break resets, it'll reset your 14. Makes sense? But yeah, do not start your 14-hour clock until you're ready to work. Don't start it and then go to the bathroom, do this, do that, and blah, blah, blah. Start your 14 when you're ready to work. Pure, as simple as that. And then you have your 70-hour clock, which is like your standard work week clock for the week. Now that ticks down along with your 14, but the only stipulation is your 70 only ticks down when you're on duty. If you switch to off duty, your 70 will stop, but your 14 will keep going. Let me just face the camera to my hours here. I can show you all my hours and stuff because y'all don't know where I'm at. So it doesn't matter if y'all know when I stop and stop. So, 11-hour drive time, 14-hour drive time, or 11-hour drive time, 14 hours on duty, 70 hours on duty. As you can see, my 70's down to 18:07 because I worked my ass off. My 14's down to 19 because I've been up all damn day. And I have a lot of drive time left. I'll explain this in a second. Up here you got your 8-hour rest break clock. So, I'll explain that after I explain this. So, why do I have more drive time than I do on-duty time? Well, it's simple as this. I was just sitting, getting my truck worked on, so it ticked away my on-duty time. And while I was sitting, it was wasting my drive time. So, this is why you don't start your 14-hour clock before anything important. But you see, I had started mine because I had to drive and get to where I needed to go and pick up the load, blah, 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 right? So, you always want to go by your lowest amount of time available. So even though I can still drive legally for 6 hours and 35 minutes, legally I can only drive for 18 more minutes because my 14's down there to 18. You always go by the lowest one. If these top 3 were all full, you have to go by your 70. As long as your 70 is at 14 or so, you're still good. If your 70 is at like 5 hours, well, guess what? You're only driving for 5 hours for the day. 8-hour rest break. You're allowed to drive 8 straight hours without stopping, but you have to take a 30-minute break to get the rest of your drive time, because you know you have 11 hours. So that gives you 3 hours extra to drive. So the way that works is, alright, so you start your shift, you have 11 hours to drive, but you can only drive for 8. So if you drive for 2 hours, this will go down to 6. Your 8-hour rest break will go down to 6. Your 11 hours drive time will go down to 6 as well. If you take a 30-minute break, your 8-hour bar will fill up, and you will get back whatever is taken away from this bar. So if your 8 went down to 6, that's 2 hours. You know you got 3 hours of extra drive time, so your 11-hour break, your 11-hour drive time will go back up to 8 hours. Is that right? 11, 10, I'm confusing myself. I'm tired. So if you 11, you'll have 9 hours to go. So, yeah, I was right. It will go back up to 8 hours. So that gives you an extra hour of drive time that you can't use yet. You want to think of it as like a bank. Think of all, like, think of it as like a bank or so. Whatever you take away from your top here, it will get reimbursed on your bottom here, as long as you have the time to cover it. So, let's say you drive down the road for another hour. Your 8 hours will go down to 7. You stop to take a 30-minute break. You know you have an extra hour of drive time left, so you will regain that 1 hour down here at the bottom, and you'll have, 8 hours to drive again. Now, after you deplete this all the way, and you take another 30-minute break, you're not going to get any more drive time left, because you only got 3 hours in the bank. So, let's say you drive for 4 hours. Start of a new day. You drive for 4 hours straight and stop. Your 8 hours will go down to 4. Your 11 hours will be down to 4. You know you got 3 hours in the bank. So if you take a 30-minute break, your 8 hours will go from 4 back up to 8. Your 11 hours drive time, you only have 3 hours to cover for the 4. So your drive time will go down to, or up to 4. We'll go back up to 7. So that's how that works. Your 14 hours on duty, I already went over. If you start it, you can't stop it, and blah blah blah. Your 70-hour on duty is your hours for the week. You start out with 70, and it slowly starts ticking down as you work on duty. Now, this works sort of like a bank as well. Anytime you're on duty, you're taking away money, in this case time, from your bank. Now, you can regain this time back. Now, throughout the week, let me go to my 8 days here. Come on, slow ass thing. Alright. So, let's just say you've already driven for the week, like in my case. Scroll down to the bottom of your time, and you know down here, on the right side on your on-duty column, you're going to get back what's on the bottom. So tonight at midnight, get off my screen, I can't see. Tonight at midnight, where's my finger? I'm going to get 3 hours and 23 minutes back onto my 70. So 3 hours and 23 minutes plus my 1807 will give me 21, 30, or 40 something. So that's added onto my 70 hours, so I know I can work a full day tomorrow, a full 14 hours if I have to, and like a partial day. You can just work your way up the chain. These things are so slow. Like, I just want to teach mine how to fly sometimes out the window, but can't do that. Now your time's always cycling. Every day is always cycling. So the hours you worked that day, you will get back the following week. So, you know, this time last week, it was November 28th, I worked, oh, see, I got those 3 hours back just now. It hit 12 midnight, I got those 3 hours back, and it cycled up. So, hey, it kind of happened, perfect timing. See? So now I'm up to 21, 30 hours that I can work for the next couple days. So, I'm glad that happened when I was making this video. Kind of didn't really plan for that. So now I know tomorrow at midnight I'm going to get 8 hours and 48 minutes back, and then the following day only 9 minutes, and so on and so forth. It just keeps going up the chain. So, you want to try to save your time on your 70 as much as possible. You don't want to work 14-hour days for 4 or 5 days, and then you're screwed for the next 2 days of the week. So you want to try to stretch it out. Have days you work long and then shorter days. Or just try to make them all even, like 8 to 9 hours a day on duty. So your 70 will last longer and you don't have to take a 34 reset as much. But I run hard as balls, and you know, I like getting all the miles out the way when I can, but at the same time, it's a hard balancing act, damn it. But you gotta do it. So I think that pretty much covers this part and how to manage this stuff. Just be smart about it. Obviously, there's little tricks here and there that you can do to maximize your time, but I'm just gonna leave that for you intelligent people out there to figure out. Because I ain't losing my job because I said something dumb. Now your 14 hours, once that runs out, you're pretty much just screwed. You can't drive no more. So you're just out of luck. You better pull over and stop somewhere safe because you can't drive. Now what I will say is, even if your 14 hours is up, if you're not under a load, it's still possible to go somewhere safe. But I'm going to leave that at that. Go to my graph. Now your graph. These are your different lines. You got your off duty, your sleeper berth, drive, and on duty. On duty, not drive. Your drive and your on-duty time are your money lines. Do not be down here unless you don't like making money. If you like your paycheck and fat pockets, you know, stay off of this line unless you're damn driving or you have to. Now, obviously, you got to be on duty when you're at a like a DOT check or going to a scale house or something. Sleeper berth and off duty is obviously when you're off and you're not driving. So, I can probably explain graphs, and well, I can do it now. It deals with time. So, as you can see, you got the day. You got 0 all the way to 24 hours. The horizontal lines obviously show how long you've been in that status for, and then it jumps down to whatever your change was. As you can see, I was off duty at midnight. And I can't touch the line because it'll show you where I was, and I can't do that really. I was off duty up until around like 1 o'clock, and then I went to the sleeper, and then around 10 o'clock I went to on duty for my pre-trip, and then I went straight back to off for an obscene amount of time for some reason. Oh, no, that's right. This day I was kind of messed up. I went to on duty because I I woke up, and then I went to off duty for something. Yeah, that's a good reason why you shouldn't start your clock. I went to on duty. I think this might be for my pre-trip or something. But then I went to off because something happened. And then I drove. And then I drove, went back to off. And then I went to on duty. I think this is where I fueled up at my fuel stop. And then I went to off duty for a bit. I don't know why it jumped to the sleeper there. I think I did that so I could put a note on my timeline. And then I went to drive. And then I went off because I was had to pee or something. And then I went back to driving. And then I got to wherever I was going to stop. And then I went to off duty and slept for a while. And then went back to drive. See this for the 4th. Now if we go over here and hit next, if it'll work, because this thing is slow. Alright, see it's loading now. Okay, so this is for today. So it just switched over to midnight. So as you can see, it's like a little blip here in sleeper. But yep, that's pretty much how your graph works. Now, like I said, you can touch these lines, not these blue and white ones, but here, let me see if I can get it to where it won't. Alright, let me just do this. Alright. So if you touch these lines, this box will come up. It tells you what your status is, when you started it, and how long it was. And I don't know if that's like, it's like miles away, or I don't know. Yeah, it tells you you're miles away from the location, which I can't really show because y'all don't need to know all that. But that's that. I might make a video on like how to do Qualcomm messages and or all that, or maybe I don't know. Y'all can figure that out. It's easy. But yeah. Anyway, before this video gets any longer, I pretty much explained all the important stuff that y'all need to know. If you can't figure it out. One thing is, I don't know shit about an 8-2 split, so don't ask me. I don't know how that works, can't figure it out. I know a lot of shit, but if I don't know it, I will admit it, and I don't know how an 8-2 split works. I know if you're in a sticky situation, you can use it to help you, but, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see a point in it, really, unless you absolutely have to. But anyway, drive safe out there. I'm sorry this video is late, and be water, my friends.